Hi everybody, this video will prepare you and give you some information related to the quiz on exercise 2-5. That section covers tautologies, contradictions, and contingent statements. So a little summary up front. A tautology is a statement that is logically or necessarily true. Contradiction is the opposite. It is necessarily or logically false, and anything that doesn't fit either of those two is contingent. That is, it's dependent on something. It's dependent on having experience in the world and needing to know something concrete to figure out truth or falsity. So to say that the truth value of a contradiction or tautology is determined by logical or deductive means. Another way I like to say it is that it is automatic. So, for example, so next step, we'll look at the pages in the chapter which relate to this. So this is section 6 on page 45. Chapter 2, a tautology. The book's example is very good. The Mets will win and not win the World Series. This is a contradiction. To say that they will win the World Series or they won't is a tautology. This is automatically true. This is automatically false. And then if we just change it and make a prediction, let's say we say next year the Mets will win the World Series. That's based on real life and unknown at this point, so it's contingent. So say, for example, right now we say, because the World Series recently ended, we say the Mets either won or did not win the World Series. That would be a tautology because it's automatically true. It is definitely true that they either won it or didn't win it. If we say that they both won and lost it, that's obviously impossible, and another good example of what would be a contradiction. So in this section, let me find the next. We do have on page 45 just this brief summary. So in order to do it better, it is very useful to actually look at the exercise set. So let's look at that together. So this is found, exercise set 2-5 is found on page 54. So let's go over a few of them. Either Donald Trump ran for president of the U.S. in 2016 or a lot of newspapers were mistaken. This is a very interesting one in that it seems like it could be a tautology, but really it's playing around with the fact that newspapers did report this, and mostly newspapers are factual. So we need to know that information, so it would be considered a contingent statement. And again, no matter what we know about the election and politics, if we look at number 2, either Donald Trump was on the ballot in Georgia in 2016 or he wasn't. Whether no matter what we know about our political system, this is a true statement. He can't be in other words, he either was on it or he wasn't. So we've covered both bases. That's a tautology. And according to number 3, again, the couple that are answered here, this is a contingency because it is based on knowing our laws, and there is no logical impossibility of this, and that's what makes it a contingency. It's not automatically true or false. So number 4, snow is always white, except of course when it isn't. Again, it sounds almost humorous because anytime you state something like this, you could say, "My uncle is always loud," except of course when he isn't. Um, then it's in the form, like the logical form of a tautology because it is always true. Number 5 is a very good one. News media always reports the news accurately. Seems like it could possibly be a contradiction since we know that it doesn't, but we also know that sometimes it does and sometimes it doesn't. And we need to have appeal to real life experience for that. So it's a good example of a simple contingency. And same with number 6. No politicians ever keep any of their campaign promises. Even if that were true, and some people might argue that it is true, you need to know and have a lot of evidence about politicians and their campaign promises. So, because it is using real life experience and evidence, that is a contingency. 7 is one of those quips, a kind of a aphoristic saying, and therefore it's best interpreted as contingent, though I won't have examples that fit this model on the quiz. So 2 plus 2 equals 4 by itself would be a tautology. All simple math truths are tautologies, but since it tacks on this phrase, but I don't believe it, making it personal, making contingent on your own belief, strangely. It's weird to hear somebody say it this way, but it's because of this last part that this would be considered a contingency. Number 9 is a very interesting one. Again, I will not test you on this because this could be confusing and debatable. But either you're in favor of the Equal Rights Amendment or you're against it. If you think that this is contingent, you could make the argument, and that's what our book wants us to do, to make the argument that you could be in the middle. You could be unsure, and because you're unsure, you've said it's not this or that. It's not automatically true or false. 10, kind of humorous in a morbid way. Trespassers will be shot, and then they'll never trespass again. That seems to imply that they will not live, which again, if they do, they could trespass again. So that kind of analysis shows it's contingent based upon what actually happens. 11, also kind of a fun one, but confusing possibility. You'd think it would be a tautology, automatically true, but it could be argued that what do we mean by play? Can your relative play for you, but the ticket counts for you? If you want to complicate it that way, you could also make the case for it being contingent. So I think that's, again, a tautology or a contingency. And number 12 kind of boggles all the laws of logic, so don't worry about that one. I won't ask you anything as complicated as that. So those are all the examples. Again, on this quiz, you will have 3 choices: tautology, contingency, or tautology, contradiction, or contingency for all of the examples. And they will be their own independent examples, just like the follow-up fallacy quiz, so they will not come from the book, but you'll just be able to do it straight from opening the quiz and reading them. All right, well, one more special quiz after this. Be dealing with that next week on exercise 2-6. So I hope you're having a great Thanksgiving weekend this year. And we'll talk soon. Thanks.